officially start it for the YouTube clip, right? Here we go. What's up, guys? It's your boy Seb. We are back with episode number 11, summertime in the NBA. Man, oh man. Do we have... Oh, chat. I dropped my notebook with all my notes. El Bozo. El Streamer, bro. El Streamer. Can I get L's in the chat? El Streamer in the chat? Let me get some L's in the chat, man. Come on. But yeah, man, a lot of NBA stuff, WNBA stuff that we're going to cover. And again, like I just mentioned, we're going to pick our NCAA 27 rebuild team for our YouTube rebuild series. But, yeah, man. Let's get into it, bro. I mean, we're just going to run down the major trades and some of the other signings. No, we're not going to go over every single thing that's happened in the NBA because that's kind of impossible. At least to do within the hour. And let's be honest, you guys don't really care about Nikola Vucevic and where he signed, right? Like, you guys don't care. Even though we probably will talk about it. But anyways, nonetheless, let's get into it, man. Let's put Seb in the corner. Let's get you guys straight on here. Make sure that looks good. And let's go to our bookmarks, man. Let's go to our first thing that we're going to talk about today. The first thing that I have to talk about today is the Jaylen Brown trade, right? Let's scroll down. You guys see all that stuff we're going to be talking about today. The Jaylen Brown trade. The Ja Morant trade. We're going to talk about the Ja Morant trade. I know you guys want to hear Jaylen Brown. We're going to get into the Jaylen Brown stuff. But first, we really need to dive in to this Ja Morant stuff, right? So, let's get in on this here. Let's make sure we can see everything here for these picks. There we go. There you go. You guys can see the whole thing, right, chat? Let's put me back up here. Actually, no. We can keep myself down here. That's fine. All right, chat. So here we go. So Ja Morant got traded. And you guys are probably wondering, oh, where'd he get traded to? If you guys aren't, keeping up. Oh, where did he get traded to? Guys, he got traded to the Portland Trail Blazers. I know you guys are probably thinking, like, that's a great team to be on. He can be, like, the guy there. Chat, let's take a look at what their roster currently looks like right now. Right now, they have Damian Lillard and Ja Morant, right? They got Scoot Henderson, and they got Jrue Holiday. And then if you want to add in Shaedon Sharpe, because he does play the 2 spot, but he also does play the 3 spot a little bit. But that's a crowded backcourt room. That's 5 players that are more than capable of honestly starting in the NBA, if you really break it down. But the bigger factor here is that they really don't have any other depth outside of this backcourt tandem that they've put together. Now, Damian Lillard coming off of the injury from the last time that he was playing. Obviously, he got traded from Milwaukee back to Portland. And now that he's in Portland, he's back home, back where it all started. And he has the opportunity to help Ja Morant get back into... Not into shape, because he's not out of shape, but get him back on track, man. Get him back to that superstar potential that we were seeing early on for Ja Morant in Memphis. Who did the Portland Trail Blazers give up? They gave up Jeremy Grant, and they also gave up Chris Murray in this trade for Ja Morant. Now, if you want to take a look at what their roster currently looks like right now, let's go ahead and take a look over there. So we're going to go ahead and go to the ESPN. We're going to go to the Portland Trail Blazers here. I will zoom in a little bit for you guys so you guys can see. Let's just look at the depth here. So here's your full lineup, right? You got Ja Morant, Scoot Henderson, Damian Lillard, Jrue Holiday, and you guys see Shaedon Sharpe there. Danny Avdija, another guy, worthy of maybe some all-star votes in the Portland Trail Blazers. You also have City Cisco, you have Robert Williams, who also just re-signed, and then you have Donovan Clingan, their center that they drafted not this year, but the year prior. So their lineup is decent. Is this a team that I'd be scared of? No, because they're in the Western Conference. We know the Western Conference is always tough, and going 42-40 last season, it's basically pretty mid, right? They're pretty mid team, but you know that in the Western Conference, again, mid is not going to cut it. Mid might get you a play-in spot, but it's not going to lock down a playoff spot, which is what the Portland Trail Blazers honestly want to do, right? But looking at this trade, I just think that obviously that backcourt is way too crowded. You got to move somebody. They were talking about Jrue Holiday maybe playing at the small forward spot, backing up Shaedon Sharpe or Kamara. But honestly, let's be real here. Let's just clear the space out. Let's send Drew Holiday to a championship contending team. I wouldn't say the Boston Celtics are championship contenders right now, but they are not a team who is going to take an off year. They just finished in the top 5 in the East last season. Well, I guess if you reseed the playoffs, then maybe not. But going into the playoffs, they were a top 5 team. They obviously did lose Jaylen Brown, so that's a big piece that they lost. But Drew Holiday, again, used to play there in Boston. He could be a good piece to add in Boston to help that roster get back to a contending roster. Another team I can see him go to, this would have to probably be off a buyout, but I would like to see him on the Heat. The Heat are another team that are in desperate need of some backcourt help, and I think Drew Holiday's defense and his veteran presence would do pretty good in Miami, especially playing with his former teammate Giannis Antetokounmpo. We guys know they used to play together back in Milwaukee, and Giannis is a big fan of Drew Holiday. That was from what I saw reading a bunch of different articles. He was kind of blindsided by the Drew Holiday trade, and he was very fond of Drew Holiday. So to see him back on the Heat would be pretty. To see him pair up with Giannis on the Heat would be pretty cool. But yeah, he's due $32 million this season. I don't think anybody's willing to take on that contract considering his age, unless they have someone that they're, just looking to get off a contract. Which, again, I look to the Miami Heat because they have a contract in Nikola Jovic that is terrible and they want to move away from. He's making around $15 to $18 million per year for the next 2 or 3 seasons. And although it doesn't meet that full $32 million a year criteria, I'm sure the Miami Heat can find a way to do some type of trade to land Drew Holiday if a buyout is not an option. All right, let's go to the next trade that we want to talk about. Oh, well, I guess if we want to look at the Grizzlies side of things, we know that Grizzlies team right now, they just drafted Boozer in this past NBA draft, but they are a long way to getting back into playoff contention. So nothing really to grab at there if you're the Memphis Grizzlies. All right, nothing too crazy. We're gonna talk about the LeBron thing. We're gonna talk about that last though. What's next on here? The Kawhi Leonard trade. Kawhi Leonard is back in Toronto, guys. He's back in a Raptors uniform. He will play in the 6, where he won a championship on his 1-year stop over there before he got traded to the LA Clippers. Now, you look at what the Clippers receive in this trade for Kawhi Leonard. They got quite the package for Mr. Kawhi Leonard. They acquired Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 1 pick swap, and 2 second-round picks. That's not a bad deal if you're the LA Clippers looking to rebuild and looking to go into a youth movement. They did trade away, again, a premier caliber All Star MVP, dare I say, type of player in Kawhi Leonard, because we know when he's on the floor and he's healthy, that man is a menace. A menace offensively, a menace defensively. This guy is obviously a stud. We know Kawhi back in his time with San Antonio, a menace. Back in his 1-year rental in Toronto, a 1-year menace. And his time in LA, although it hasn't lived up to expectations, he is time and time again a menace. Looking at what this means for Toronto, they're looking to win now. Is that roster capable of winning now? Dare I say? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think right now they're looking at around 45 wins, right? If you're looking at the way that the roster's currently built, I would say around 45 wins. Now, there's plenty of time for this roster to improve. Can they make the needed additions to do so? Who knows? Because honestly, outside of your starting five, let's be honest, this depth in this roster is not the best. There's plenty of other teams with better depth in the East. Again, this team is probably going to win around 45 to 50 games. You guys see their last season, they were 46 and 36. I do think Kawhi Leonard obviously is a better piece than Brandon Ingram. But there's just not enough depth here on this team to really contend and win games. So I'm gonna put them at around 45 to 50. I do think they can win over 50 wins if they continue to improve this roster. Right now, we haven't really heard of any new signings or anything like that. So as of right now, this is their current roster. I'm going to say the Toronto Raptors win between 45 and 50 games. If they can improve this roster easily, this is an over 55 win team in the East, right? Let's see, what else do I have here? I know that they're also working on trying to get an extension done with Kawhi Leonard because his contract is almost up. So he will probably end up finishing his career in Toronto. And man, that's such a crazy scenario to be if you're Kawhi Leonard. You go to Toronto and you let them know, hey, I'm only here for the year, and then after that, I'm gone. And they're like, all right. And then lo and behold, you find your way back to the team you brought a championship to. I mean, they basically were gonna give you the keys to the city, to Canada. They were gonna give you the keys to Canada, bro. And you left that to go play in LA, and you found your way back. And I have to say, Kawhi Leonard, I'm really rooting for you, bro. I love the fit on the Toronto Raptors. Again, I just think this roster has some improving to do if they want to really be a contender in this league, and make it out of the Eastern Conference. Another trade that we're going to get into has to deal with the Lakers. We're going to talk about this trade and then probably talk about the Lamelo trade because I think I added that a little bit late on here. And then we'll get into the 76ers and Jaylen Brown and all that good stuff, right? So let's move on to the Walker Kessler trade. Did I even save it? Probably not, bro. Wow, El Bozo, bro. Here you guys have it. We have did I not make a post? Oh, here we go. I was about to say I could have swore that I made a post about it. So here we go. The Los Angeles Lakers ended up getting a premier center for Mr. Luka Doncic. They ended up trading with the Utah Jazz for Walker Kessler. Guys, this trade, this rumor has been rumored for the last 2 years that Kessler was going to find his way in LA, and finally he ends up in LA. The Lakers will send a first-round pick in 2031 and 2033, and the Jazz will also receive the rights for first-round swaps in 2028 and 2030. So that's a total of 4 first-round picks, basically, that the Lakers essentially gave up, right? I mean, granted, they're going to get the 2 first-round picks in 2028 and 2030 because they're just going to swap, but if the Lakers end up doing worse than the Utah Jazz, which I probably doubt in those years, is that really worth it, man? Is that really worth trading away around, 4 years? Up to 4 to 5 years of your first round pick future and ending up either selecting nothing or just straight mid? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure if this trade was really worth it. But he does get traded. He will play in the purple and gold next season, and he will also sign a 4-year, $130 million extension to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, we all know that Luka has been asking time and time again for a premier center. Is Walker Kessler considered a premier center? I will let you guys decide that for yourselves. Personally, I think he was definitely one of the better options, if not the best available option at center right now in the league. The free agent market really wasn't that good, and the trade market was pretty low. I think Anthony Davis was probably the only real center that was in trade rumors, but let's be real, he was not going to go back to LA, especially with no LeBron there. It was never even a question. Never even a thought, right? But Luka does get his center. My thing with this trade, which is why I was questioning whether it was really worth it, is because Jaylen Brown getting traded to the 76ers, you look at what both teams received. You looked at what Boston got, and you look at what Utah got. Boston didn't get many first rounders as the Utah Jazz did. How is Walker Kessler going for more first round picks than Jaylen Brown, Chad? Someone tell me that. Someone tell me how that is possible. Nonetheless, I digress. The Lakers roster right now, as constructed, probably a 6 or a 7 seed. I mean, they did sign a lot of other role player guys. They signed Colin Sexton. They signed, who else did they sign? They signed a couple of other players that I was looking at their roster. And I was like, this is not the greatest roster, but these other additions do help, right? Quentin Grimes, they signed Sandro. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. And they also managed to sign Kevin Looney. I mean, their team is pretty decent, right? But defensively, look at this team, and it's just easy pickings, man. It's barbecue chicken alert, in the words of Shaquille O'Neal. This is barbecue chicken, man, every night. If you're playing down low, if you're a fast guard coming down the court and you're playing against the Lakers, this is a field day for you. I think aside from Quentin Grimes and Colin Sexton, this team lacks a lot defensively. Colin Sexton and Quentin Grimes, obviously, they can't guard all night, right? You got to put in Luka at some point. You got to throw in Austin Reeves as well at some point, and they're probably going to play most of their time together on the same floor. So unless the Lakers plan on playing a lot of small ball, this Lakers team could be in trouble defensively. If I had to predict, I would say this team ends up in the bottom 10 defensively in the NBA. I'm just being real. I think there's a lot of work to be done here defensively. I don't think Quentin Grimes and Colin Sexton is enough for this Lakers team defensively. No, I don't want to boost my post, bro. Let's go back to our bookmarks, man. Let's see what else we got to talk about right now. I believe we're gonna move to Lamelo Ball, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Lamelo Ball trade, guys. Lamelo Ball just got traded. He got traded away from Charlotte. Where does he end up? He ends up in Minnesota, guys. He's a Minnesota Timberwolf. He will be teaming up with Anthony Edwards this next season. Man, what a backcourt that's gonna be in Minnesota, bro. So here it is. Here's your full package, right? So the Timberwolves get LaMelo Ball. They also get Josh Green. The Hornets get Naz Reid, a 2033 first-round pick, 3 first-round pick swaps in 2028 to 2030, and 3 second-round picks in 2029, 2032, and 2033. So again, quite the package for a premier point guard in the league. Honestly, LaMelo Ball was slightly rumored to be dealt at some point, and the Minnesota Timberwolves pulled the trigger, man. They got it done. You look at this team, though, again, I just think this is another team that kind of lacks a lot in depth, right? You got rid of Julius Randle in a trade to the Brooklyn Nets. You lose Naz Reid in this trade. You also lose Mike Conley in free agency. And you also have Dante DiVincenzo still recovering from his injury. Who knows when he will be back next season? So at least your backcourt should be pretty solid. You have Anthony Edwards, you have LaMelo Ball. You also drafted Isaiah Evans at the top of the second round in this past NBA draft, and you also still have Bones Highland to back up LaMelo Ball at the point guard position. Good thing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Isaiah Evans is 6'6", so he can play the 2 spot easily. At Duke, he averaged 15 points. He averaged around 4? I can't even see. Hold on. 4 per 3, what is that, rebounds per game? Chat, I can't even read my own handwriting. Who let this guy stream, bro? Here we go. 15 points per game. He shot 43% from the floor, and he shot 36% from three-point range. So the guy could score. He's a good scorer to come off the bench for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but when you look at the rest of that roster, how high in contention in the NBA can they be? Looking at the West, you see a lot of other teams. You obviously have to count the San Antonio Spurs and OKC as the top 2 spots, right? Interchangeable, but they're the top 2. You look at the rest of the West, you can put a lot of other teams between 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to say the Minnesota Timberwolves could be a lock for a top 4 or 5 seed, man. I definitely think they will still remain in the top portion of the Western Conference. I just think, despite them losing a lot of that depth, they still have great pieces. They re-signed AU. Obviously, they retained Jaden McDaniels. They drafted Isaiah Evans, like I said. And they have a couple of other guys down the line that can fill in some spots throughout the season. Can they improve? Yes, there's always room for improvement, especially in the forward position. I think is where they really lack the most. Aside from AU and Jaden, I mean, that forward position is pretty questionable. Pretty questionable. I think they could have gotten a guy. I mean, Dean Wade did take quite an expensive contract, but I think the Timberwolves could have used a guy like Dean Wade on their team. If they can manage to find another guy out there in free agency, I know this might be a little bit crazy, but maybe Ben Simmons in Minnesota can do some wonders. I mean, defensively he was pretty good, especially when he was, at the top of his game. I mean, he is kind of a point guard in a power forward's body. But I think he could do a lot of good things for that Minnesota team. If you really look at it, right? But I'm gonna say the Minnesota Timberwolves are a lock for a top 5 seed. If I'm gonna give a specific spot, I'm gonna put them at number 4. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves finish winning over 50 games this season for sure, and they end up at the 4 seed at the lowest, right? Let's see. Let's move on now. I think now, chat, it might be time for some Jaylen Brown. Let's move into our Jaylen Brown stuff. The Jaylen Brown segment of this episode should be around here somewhere. Here we go. Jaylen Brown, the former Finals MVP, finds himself in Philly. Can you believe it? Can you believe that the Boston Celtics would trade a Finals MVP to a team as chat, I can't even put my thoughts into words right now because of how crazy this trade is. If you're the Boston Celtics, how are you going to trade a player of that caliber to your rival team? A rival team like the Philadelphia 76ers? How is that possible? Bob Myers, I have to give you a round of applause, bro. You made it happen, bro. You made it happen. And let's take a look at this package, man. So the 76ers ended up trading away Paul George, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks for Jaylen Brown. Boston, looking at this trade, you're thinking, if you're a Boston fan looking at this trade, you're thinking, what the F, bro? You just traded a Finals MVP for a guy who is 36, making $50 million this year, and a player option for $50 million plus on the season next. And you only get 2 mid-first-round picks because this is Philadelphia's own first-round picks. So, considering that roster right now, they're not going to be a low-tier team. They are going to be in the top 5, top 4 of the Eastern Conference easily, right? So, you get these picks that are not going to be really worth much. You didn't gain anything if you're the Boston Celtics. The only thing you gained was some financial flexibility, possibly after the season, assuming Paul George declines his player option. Then you free up some cap space to fill out the rest of this roster. But I'm going to be honest, man. This roster is not looking great. Not looking great if you're a Boston Celtic. Right? Let's see. What did I write down here? This is not for Jaylen Brown. Hold on. Let me scroll back. Let me go back in my notes here, chat. Like I said, this trade was seen as a salary dump, as it's been reported by the Boston Celtics. You put together a lineup with Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, whoever you want at power forward, and Joel Embiid at center. I mean, that team is going to be a problem next season. I mean, they definitely have some bench issues that I would be concerned about. They did do good, and they did add some backcourt depth, signing Anthony Simmons. That was a guy I really wanted the Heat to get if they missed out on some other guys, and Philadelphia 76ers just beat us to the punch, man. So here you go. Here you're looking at it. You see the rest of that lineup. I mean, I really just don't see a lot of depth here aside from Anthony and Adam Bona. I think Anthony's a great scorer to have off the bench. Defensively, he's not the greatest, but I definitely do think he could provide you easily with 12 to 15 points off the bench, right? And then you have Adam Bona, who could be pretty good. He's probably their next best player off the bench aside from Anthony Simmons. He's a guy that can back up Joel Embiid. But I do think that this team still needs to improve. I mean, you guys do see here that they did add Dean Wade, but if he's going to be their starter, they really have no depth at that forward position, right? And I do think that's something that they can improve on. I don't know, man. There's just a lot of other good teams out there in the East that would probably give this team a run for their money. So some teams that I would easily put over them, obviously you have to put the defending champions, the New York Knicks. They have to go over them. I mean, they won the title. They really didn't lose a whole lot aside from Mitchell Robinson. But they basically replaced him with Andre Drummond, who honestly at this point in his career is probably a better free throw shooter and does pretty much the same thing. He can rebound pretty good. He gets up there with a lot of the other guys. So the New York Knicks, I would easily say, is better than them. I would say the Cleveland Cavaliers are also a better roster than the Philadelphia 76ers. And I want to say Detroit, if they still manage to keep Jaylen Duren, which right now I'm not sure how that situation is going to unfold. But I mean, they still have a pretty good roster. I mean, they got Kevin Huerter, Isaiah Joe, they got Duncan Robinson, Ron Holland, Paul Reed, John Collins, who they added. I mean, this roster is still pretty solid, and they're solid all the way through. So I would say those three teams, the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Pistons, are three teams I would put over the Philadelphia 76ers. I want to say the Heat so bad to put them over, but I just don't think the Heat have the depth either on their roster right now to put them over the top. Looking at the Celtics side of things, I mean, I just think this is a huge loss for them. I don't think they really gained a whole lot in their trade. They did clear up some space to sign Mitchell Robinson, who is now a Boston Celtic. And they're honestly just preying on Mr. Peyton Pritchard to take a Jalen Brunson type of leap in his career. Let's be honest, guys. He had the opportunity to do that last season when Jason Tatum was out, and it was really just him and Jaylen Brown for most of the year. And he really didn't take that jump. So the fact that they really think that he can do it now is kind of bonkers to me. I mean, that's not to say that he didn't have a good season last year. I mean, he averaged 17 points. 17 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, that's pretty solid. Excuse me, but it's not Jalen Brunson numbers, right? Not a bad player. Again, I just don't see that jump being realistic for Peyton Pritchard and the Boston Celtics next year. And again, I just think it's crazy that you trade him to a team like the 76ers. Like, that's just such a crazy thing to do, man. Crazy thing to do. And it's time, guys. I think it's time now. I think it's time we get to the portion that we want to talk about, that everybody has been waiting for me to talk about. I mean, I've seen the comments. I've seen the rumors, guys. Where will LeBron James be playing basketball next season? Early on to this rumor, when it was first being reported, which is why you see them on this tweet, the Warriors were a heavy favorite to land LeBron James. Why? Because they were also rumored to try and make a trade work to land Anthony Davis. That obviously fell through. The Wizards really shut that down. And basically the Warriors kind of fell out of this race. It's really just been the Cavs, the Heat, and the 76ers who are the top three teams that are being talked about a lot, according to Shams and Brian Windhorst. Where will he end up playing? Who knows, man? Who knows, right? But the top three teams, Cavs, Heat, 76ers. There are two other teams who are also thrown in the mix, the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Those are two teams that can definitely use LeBron on their roster, especially the Timberwolves that we talked about. They needed some depth, especially at the forward position, and I think LeBron is the man for the job. I mean, they have quite the roster over there, but let's focus in on the top three teams first, right? You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Why is this such a great option? I mean, let's just look at the roster. I mean, aside from the fact that it's where home is for him, right? It's where he's from. It's where he got drafted. It's where he left, came back, won a championship, and now he has the opportunity to close out his career where it all started. And that's quite the storyline, if you ask me, right? Let's zoom in on this so you guys can see the names a little bit better. There you go. And then if you guys are on Twitter, sorry, Twitter, if I haven't moved anything for you, but like I always say, join on Twitch. It's better. But you look at this option. I mean, you have James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Dennis Schroeder, Jaylen Tyson, Sam Merrill. I mean, this roster is not too bad, right? You add LeBron in the mix. That's quite the top 8 that you would have, right? With Sam Merrill, Dennis Schroeder, Max Strus off the bench, and then you obviously put LeBron at the small forward spot there, at the starting spot. Obviously, they are working to re-sign James Harden. I think they're just kind of waiting to see what happens with LeBron to decide how much money James Harden will be taking in his next contract. I think he can easily fit in here. Like I said, it's home. I think he would make the Cavaliers probably a clear-cut favorite over the New York Knicks if the Cavaliers can end up finding a way to land LeBron James. Let's move on back to the next team, the 76ers. Again, you look at this team as constructed. The roster is pretty good when you look at the starting 5, but again, that depth is just not really there. And if you add LeBron into this mix, he's going to be starting, and he's probably going to be starting at the power forward spot because I don't imagine they're going to be bringing Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe, or Jaylen Brown off the bench. I mean, those guys are pretty much locked in for their starting job. VJ Edgecombe had a great season last year, proving himself to be a top player, a top guard in this league, a top small forward in this league. So you have to give credit where credit's due. He's definitely earned the right to start in the NBA. So adding LeBron into this mix would be pretty interesting. I do think defensively they could miss a step here. I don't think they'll be as bad as other teams though. I only say that because LeBron's older. Let's be real. He's not moving as fast anymore. What really, what his thing is that he has a lot of basketball IQ. His playmaking ability, his facilitating ability makes him one of the best players of all time. The best player of all time. Excuse me, let me correct myself. The GOAT, right? LeBron James. So, you just kind of look at those other options and, 76ers, they're intriguing. Rich Paul has, come out with his clipboard in his podcast with Max Kellerman. You guys can see here some of these, these teams that are on here, some notes that are on here. You have, obviously, the starting lineups of a few teams that could be interesting. And, I could see him ending up in a place like Denver. I'm not mad at that lineup. Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, LeBron, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. I mean, that would be pretty crazy. That honestly is probably the least favorable team that he would end up on. But, I mean, let's be real. That team would be pretty solid. And then you look at the Timberwolves. Again, another team that's pretty far-fetched out there. I don't think he'll end up there. But those are just two teams that are probably the most unrealistic, but would be pretty crazy if he ended up there, right? And then let's move to the team that I really have been holding off on. I talk about the Miami Heat. Now, again, the Miami Heat have constructed a roster right now that could be questionable, right? Behind the arc. Not a lot of shooting there. They lose Norman Powell. They re-sign Andrew Wiggins. Obviously, you lose Hero, Jovic, Kasparis, and Khalil Ware in the Giannis trade. And you just kind of look at the rest of this roster. Davion Mitchell, they signed Tim Hardaway Jr., again, they kept Andrew Wiggins. They have Pele Larson off the bench. And you have Bobby Portis off the bench in that Giannis trade as well. Considering that Jovic isn't a starting caliber player just yet, or probably not a player to be trusted just yet in this NBA team, especially for the Miami Heat, because of what, has transpired in the last few years with him not being happy with his playing time and this, that, and the third. So it's just a lot of questionable things on this roster right now, right? Ryan Conwell, one of the guys that the Miami Heat drafted, has been showing out in the Summer League. So far, he's done pretty good. Again, it is just Summer League, though, so you don't want to read too far into that type of stuff. But you have to look at that roster for the Miami Heat, and you have to, again, weigh the pros and cons, right? If you're LeBron James. This is a team that you've won your first championship with, a team that you spent 4 years with. You got the championship DNA basically engraved in your mind. It's now in your blood. What better way to come back to Miami? The 305. I mean, come on. It's Miami. How can he not have this as a top option on your team, especially after adding Giannis? You know, defensively, this team is going to be locked in. I mean, look at that. Davion Mitchell and Andrew Wiggins already is going to give hell behind the perimeter defensively. And then you have Giannis and Bam down low. Man, that rim protection is going to be nuts. I mean, this roster is pretty solid when you really look at it, but it does lack shooting. And I think LeBron adding into this roster could help. I mean, he's not the best three-point shooter in the league, let's be real, but he does, help a lot. He is able to facilitate. He is able to get a lot of these other guys open. I mean, I think if you have LeBron on your team, you really don't need to worry about three-point shooting because he opens up the floor for Giannis and Bam. Like, I think we'll just be so dominant down low. I don't know how other teams can really guard the Miami Heat if they manage to land a guy, the GOAT, like LeBron James, right? So I just don't know. Again, a lot of moving parts here still in this scenario for LeBron James and the LeBron James sweepstakes. Still, we do not know where he'll end up or have a timetable to find out where he ends up. But again, his top three options, Cavs, 76ers, and the Heat. I mean, he has quite the decision to make. I want to say he has a decision made and he just kind of, wants to be sure about it. But we'll see, man. Time will tell, right? Time will tell. Let's see here. Honestly, chat, I think that might be it for the NBA, man. I kind of ran through that, to be honest. But we really touched on all the key points that we really wanted to. I mean, there was obviously a couple of other things that happened in the NBA that we didn't touch on. A lot of other signings, a lot of other trades. Obviously, you guys have the Norman Powell signing to the Chicago Bulls. He signed a 2-year, $45 million deal. I'm glad someone did it. It wasn't us. DeMar DeRozan, he got waived by the Sacramento Kings, and he will be a free agent. I could see him ending back up in Toronto to finish out his career. I mean, they just got Kawhi. I mean, that was a guy that they did basically trade away for Kawhi. And I'm sure he soured that the Toronto Raptors went on to win the championship literally the year after he left or got traded for Kawhi. So to see him pair up with Kawhi, again, just a storybook ending to DeMar's career, to Kawhi's career, and to the Toronto Raptors franchise in general. I think that would be pretty cool. And obviously, of course, he's also rumored with the Miami Heat. Again, the Miami Heat are in a lot of these rumors. How often they come through on him, you guys know, Miami fans. You guys know how often they really come through on those. But now that the Heat could use some help off the bench, DeMar DeRozan is a more viable and realistic option, right, to land with the Miami Heat. And let's move on to the WNBA, and then we'll finish off the episode with our rebuild team. I do smell some coffee though, chat, so I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I want to go get. Let me see if that's what they got there. Let me see, because I think that might be why they were about to come in my room, because I think they were going to try and get me some coffee. Let's see. While they wait, let's set up the WNBA, right? A lot of interesting stuff to talk about for the WNBA, to be honest. I mean, you guys know me. I'm still easing into it. I don't know all the lore yet. I'm just catching up on Twitter and things like that. But we also know that the WNBA All Stars were selected yesterday. The full rosters, or the roster pool, should I say, is out. Obviously, you guys have your top three teams that we're going to run through. You have the Lynx, you have the Aces, and you have the Valkyries, right? You guys see it right there. You guys see the Valkyries fluctuate a lot on this list, going up and down. New York Liberty found their way down in the bottom half of the playoff race. Very interesting to see. They have put together an interesting set of games going, win loss win loss win loss. Like it's been very off and on for the New York Liberty, so hopefully they get back on track at some point. But they did win the Commissioner's Cup. I know the last episode we were waiting for the New York Liberty and the Aces Cup to finish. Liberty came out on top. I believe they're back-to-back champions, if I'm not wrong. Oh no, 2023. Who won in 2025? Oh, the Fever won last year. I forgot about that. Sorry, Chai. See, as you guys can tell, I'm still leaning in to the WNBA stuff. But anyways, you guys see it there. One of the things I did want to talk about though was about the Aces. They did end up waiving Chennedy Carter, which is very well, obviously she's not going to be on this lineup anymore, but yeah, they ended up waiving her. At first I was like, wondering why they would, try and make a move like that. Well, at least she's here though. Because, I mean, considering the type of season she put on in the beginning of the year, she was easily a I don't want to say sixth man of the year, but a sixth person of the year? I don't know what the name of the award. I don't want to be rude, but she was easily a candidate for that sixth position award off the bench for the Aces. She did really good while she was there, averaging 12 points, 1.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, but she did end up getting waived not too long ago. I saw a couple of things on Twitter, but you guys know how Twitter is. You can't really take that stuff too serious, but a lot of the things that they were saying was that it was kind of like an attitude thing. She wasn't really, it was more like her just talking back to a lot of the coaching staff and not having the greatest relationships. Who knows, though? I don't really want to put too much on that because, again, those are just rumors that you see circulating around the internet, so I don't want to say that that's the exact reason, but to me, it was very questionable decision by the Aces to waive Carter. I think she provided a great spark off the bench, but I also do think this could provide some great minutes for Joel Lloyd and a lot of these other players on the roster to finally make a contribution to this Aces team, the defending champions, should I say. Moving on to the... Damn, did I post it? I don't think I posted it. The WNBA roster. I didn't. Let's look it up. Let's look it up, chat. Here we go. Here is your full WNBA All Star pool. Let's see. I'm sure someone made no. I want the whole pool, bro. I don't want just... Chat. Alright, Whoa. Here we go. Here is the full list that you guys have here in front of you. Let me zoom in a little bit for y'all. Can you guys see that? You guys should be able to see. On Twitter. There you guys go. Alright, so you guys have the All-Stars for the 2026 WNBA season. You guys see the starters at the top. They have the background in blue. I personally think that Angel Reese or Marina Mabrey should have found their way into the starting lineup somehow. I do know that the breakdown from what I can see, it's 4 guards and I think 6 forwards, right? Was the final draw for the starters, which makes sense. I mean, you do have, point guard, shooting guard, point guard, shooting guard. There's only 4 guard spots, but personally, I would have loved to see Marina Mabrey make that starting spot. I think she definitely deserved it. It's hard to really single anyone out because all of these players are really deserving to be an all-star starter. But if I had to pick one, and this is no hate to her because she's probably going to win she will win Rookie of the Year. But Olivia Miles, I'm sorry. She has to take a seat on this one. I think Marina Mabrey has been stellar this season. Her scoring outburst this season has really put her over the top for the Toronto Tempo. And I think she should have gotten the starting nod. That's no hate to Olivia Miles. She's been playing phenomenal. She will easily win Rookie of the Year this year, but that's just me personally. I would have had her over Olivia Miles. I think, let me see. I have her stats here. For Marina Mabrey, she averaged 21 points per game, shot 45% from the floor, shot 39.9% from 3, 3.6 rebounds per game, 3.7 assists a game, and 1.1 steals per game. And she also has 3 double-doubles on the year, right? If you look at Olivia Miles' stats, not too far off. 18.5 points per game, shot 50% from the floor, 30% from 3, 4.8 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and 1.4 steals. Honestly, again, it's a hard choice. I can't imagine the voters, had an easy time making this decision. Again, I just me personally, I would have loved to see Marina Mabrey on there. I think, again, a lot of these guards are welcome, are more than welcome to be on this list and definitely deserve to be there, but that's just me. And then you guys have Angel Reese, who I thought obviously should get a starting spot too. I mean, she's the double-double queen, the rebounding queen. I mean, come on, how are you not giving her a starting nod in this spot? But then I looked at some of these other players. I did my research on them, and it makes sense. I mean, Jessica Shepard, she has 4 triple-doubles on the year. Triple-doubles, not double-doubles, triple-doubles on the year. She's doing a lot of things over there in Dallas, and, obviously Brianna Stewart, you have to give credit where credit's due. Aaliyah Boston, Gabby Williams, Natasha Howard. I mean, these girls are more than Asia Wilson, of course. Like, it's just hard to knock someone out of that starting 5 lineup. And then you look at the rest of the starters. The rest of the pool on this All-Star lineup. I do think Kelsey Plum, I'm not sure if she'll make it back in time to play in this All-Star game considering her injury with her ankle. So we'll see how that goes. But again, you guys see all of the spots here for the WNBA and the full All-Star pool for the 2026 All-Star game. Chat, and now it's time. It's time to finally decide who our finally decide who our 2027 NCAA 2027 rebuild team will be, right? Let's go ahead and find that link that I saw earlier today. Also, I want to shout out Bordeaux because he's been taking a huge stand against EA and these microtransactions that are going on in Dynasty. If you guys haven't heard, basically, long story short, last year you were able to mess with the XP sliders, to gain skill points so you can progress your coach or your Road to Glory player faster. But EA put everything behind a paywall. They removed the sliders and they added a paywall to purchase those same skill points to be able to improve your player faster. Now it's no longer behind the sliders, and their issue is not that necessarily that it's there. I mean, that is also an issue, but the bigger issue is that they didn't tell any of these creators, and these creators were vouching for EA, saying, they're not going to add it to the offline modes or the single player modes. It's really just going to be for Ultimate Teams, and they pulled the rug from under them, and they made all of these EA content creators look stupid, quite frankly, and a lot of these guys are taking a stance on it, and I love to see it, so I had to show my support there, credits due. But let's get into this rebuild wheel. Chat, you guys see my wheel here. I have quite the number of teams on here. I should be able to fit myself here. I have a lot of teams on here. I don't want to edit the wheel. I just want to spin. Can we just spin it? Okay, here we go. Is this going to let us spin? Yeah. So you guys can see some of these teams on here. You have Rice, UTSA, ECU, Memphis. I tried to keep it to a lot of the lower end teams. I didn't really put a lot of good teams on here. I tried to stay out of the power conferences. You might see a few. I think there was one team on here that was in a power conference. Was it UCF? I think it was UCF. I was going to put USF on here, but I didn't really like their uniform combos, to be honest. That was the only reason why I put UCF on here, is because I want to play with that sky blue uniform that they have. I think Minnesota might also be another power conference team. But I think other than that, everybody else is pretty much on the lower end there. So let's go ahead and start knocking out some of these teams, guys. Every team that gets selected, we're going to knock them off our list. And no, not ULM. That was the first team that I wanted to use. Chat, can we restart? Can we restart here, chat? Is that going to be L Mans here? All right, let's take them off the list here. Well, I don't want to scratch them off here. So, well, actually, we'll put a pink line through it so I don't completely, because I do want to keep this list around so that way when I finish these other builds, you know, I can use another team. All right, so ULM's off the list. Let's see who's next, man. How much time do we have left on this episode here? Oklahoma State. They are off our list. I believe that was the team that has a logo as a beaver. They're off our list now, so let's go ahead and edit them off of here. Let's keep it going, man. Let's keep this wheel spin going. The faster we can get this done, the better. We got about 10 minutes left on this episode, so ECU. I'm okay with ECU getting eliminated only because again, if you guys were in the early part of this episode, that was the team I tried to rebuild on NCAA 25. Sorry guys, I'm talking too fast for my own good. That was a team that I was trying to get rebuilt in NCAA 25 when I was starting the series before all this stuff happened with the streaming and all that good stuff. So glad we can eliminate them though, because I ended up finishing it just offline. You know how it is. App State, you are out of here. Few teams that I still really want to do. I have a couple of starred here. Western Michigan is a team that I definitely want to look into building. North Dakota State, one of the FCS teams that found their way into the FBS level, is off our list. Let's go ahead and get them another spin. Oh, all right, and another spin. North Dakota State, you are out of here. There's still 4 top teams. No, 6 teams left that I really... Oh, make that 5 teams. There are still 5 teams that I really want to go and get rebuilt here. Mainly, again, I did this strictly off of their jerseys, because I don't want to do a long-term rebuild if I can't look fly on the field, right? You know what I mean, chat? So we got to make sure our jerseys look tight. Toledo, oh, that was a good team. Not my top option, but I'm glad. Well, actually, I'm not glad. I'm upset that they're off our list. It is what it is. It is what it is. But chat, if you guys haven't seen my tweet earlier, I am on UCF. No, I am on T-Builder right now, currently constructing and building Sportswithseb University. I don't know if I want to do... How cool would that be, actually, to just do our rebuild series on them? That would be pretty sick. But I'm already committed to the wheel here, so... The Sportswithseb rebuild, I'm sure you guys will see clips of it on my TikTok, Sportswithseb clips. If you guys aren't following that, make sure you guys do. Old Dominion. Dang. They had some cool jersey options, too. That's a shame. Still, guys, I have my top 5 are still here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I still have my top 5 options still on this list so far. And I think... Oh, let's go! Okay, so we're still looking good. I spelled Eastern wrong. Don't mind that. Here we go. Eastern Michigan off the roster here. Boom, scratch them off the list. Navy. Low-key... I would have done Navy. I might do Navy still in the future. Again, their jerseys are just kind of fire. I really want to do them. All right, let's see what else we got here, man. Let's see what else we got here. Is that going to be Kent State? Kent State is off our list. Let's get them out of here. Boom. Shakalaka. Here we go. Next spin, guys. We are still locked in with our top 5 teams right now. I might have spoke too soon. Let's go! Ooh, our team remains. Sac State, you are off the list, though, unfortunately. Kenshaw State. They are off of our list. Oh, guys, they're answering me about the coffee. Kennesaw State off our list. Low key, that was a team that I did rebuild, or I was starting to rebuild in NCAA 26. Excuse me. But I think we ended up just deleting that dynasty just because we had so many at the time. We were doing a lot of online ones and stuff like that, so a lot to keep up with, and I didn't really want to continue doing all of them at the same time. So we had to cuss them out the list. And Memphis, another one off the list. Guys, we are rocking right now. Our top 5 is still on the roster. Let's go. I feel like I'm going to end up getting stuck with Rice. I mean, Rice jerseys aren't bad. I mean, I put them on the list, but... Oh, no! Oh, wait, guys, we still have Sac State, so we're actually going to keep Western Michigan on there. Because technically that spin shouldn't have counted. Let's see. LA Tech. They are gone off the list, guys. And if you guys couldn't tell by my reaction, Western Michigan was one of the teams that we did want to rebuild. Low-key, I was going to also add Wisconsin, but they didn't have too many. They had like 2 or 3 jerseys. That really was it. Minnesota. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I think that was like our top 2 team that we really wanted to rebuild. I really like their gold helmets with the M on it. So, all right. Minnesota's off the list, guys. We have our top 6: Rice, UTSA, Western Michigan, New Mexico, San Jose State, and UTEP. And Rice is off the list, guys, which leaves our top 5 spots. We have UTSA, Western Michigan, New Mexico Lobos, San Jose State, and UTEP as our current options that are left. Let's see, man. Let us see. I think 4 of these... Yeah, 4 of these are the ones that we really wanted to rebuild. So, honestly, chat, this kind of works out for us. I'm happy with whatever we end up with. Western Michigan, it had to be so, man. I hate to see it because they probably had the most uniform combos outside of what's left. So, let's see, man. Western Michigan, they're out of here. I would like to see UTSA gone. Thank God, bro. I really didn't want to rebuild them. I put them on the list just because, you know, their jerseys were cool. But now, we have our top 3 teams. San Jose State, UTEP, and the New Mexico Lobos. Here we go, chat. Let me know who you guys think will end up being our team. I'm going to say it's going to be UTEP, bro. Guys, I really wanted to do UTEP because I just think the memes that would have came out of that, because we all know what their team's called, the UTEP Miners. I just think the amount of memes that would have came out of that just would have been hilarious. But anyways, here we go. San Jose State or New Mexico. Chat, it looks like New Mexico is going to be our NCAA 27 rebuild team. The Lobos have just hired their new head coach, Sportswithseb. Here we go, chat. Guys, I'm going to try and start. Now that I know I can film properly, I'm going to try and do our first full season. I'm going to try to record it this weekend when I have some free time. Because, again, I still have to wait for the game to unlock for me. Yes, guys, I didn't buy any of the bundles. I bought the most regular standard version of the game because I didn't want to pay $100 just to play a week early. It's really ridiculous. There's no spoilers in here. I really don't care. I can play it when it comes out. But yeah, so now it's going to be New Mexico Lobos. I'm going to try and start, well, not try. I'm going to start recording our first season with the New Mexico Lobos probably as soon as tomorrow. I mean, honestly, by the time I get out of work and I'm back home, I should be able to play this game. So I'm excited. I can't wait. Oh, actually, wait. Tomorrow's Thursday. That's not what I meant. On Friday, by the time I come home, should be able to play this game. No problem. We'll get to recording. We'll start doing our first season of our New Mexico Lobos rebuild. I will be posting the full rebuild on YouTube. It's going to be 1 season per episode. So I'm going to try to do an episode every week. Guys, don't hold me to that because there's a lot of other things that I'm going to need to edit. I'm solo dolo on this. I got to edit this podcast clip. I got to cut the clips to make little clips on it. And you know how it goes. My content creators out there, you know how it goes. So but yeah, man, I think actually that's going to wrap up today's episode, man. So I appreciate you guys dedicating some time out your day to come over here and chill out with Sports with Seb for episode 11. We'll be back. I don't know if we'll be back next week. It might be the week after. We will see because let me see. Let's look at our schedule here. It might be the 22nd that we come back. Let's see what happens with LeBron. If LeBron makes a decision by next Wednesday, we'll be live. If not, we'll wait until the 22nd, and we'll see if he's decided by then. But until next time, it's been a pleasure, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.